Today, we're jumping into a story that's thousands of years old but feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's a really powerful account of a hero who, right at the peak of his power, just completely hits a wall. It's this incredible, timeless case study in crisis, burnout, and how you find your way back.
So this is where we begin, not with some grand victory, but with a plea for death. These are the words of the prophet Elijah, a guy who had just pulled off a legitimate miracle. The question is, how on earth did a celebrated hero get to this point, literally begging for it all to be over? All right, let's get into this. To really get a handle on Elijah's collapse, you have to see the absolutely shocking contrast between his huge public win and the private terror he feels just moments later. The whiplash here is just staggering. Think about it. On one side, you've got this epic public showdown where Elijah, all by himself, defeats 450 false prophets. It's a massive, undeniable victory. And on the other side, a single threat from one person, Queen Jezebel, and he's running for his life. It's a perfect example of how quickly our sense of security can just completely evaporate. So he runs and he keeps running until he literally can't run anymore. This isn't some kind of strategic retreat. This is a full-on physical and emotional collapse. He finds a random bush in the middle of nowhere, and he just gives up. And this right here, this is the heart of it. He's not just tired, and he's not just scared. He is having a full-blown identity crisis. All his hard work, his passion, his incredible victories, in his mind right now, they mean nothing. He feels like a complete and utter failure. But his story, thankfully, doesn't end there under that bush. The crisis actually becomes the starting point for a long, really isolating, but ultimately life-changing journey. In this moment of total despair, something pretty amazing happens. An angel shows up, not with some big, profound speech, but with the most basic things a person needs: food, water, and rest. This isn't a magic fix that solves all his problems. It's just enough strength to take the next step. And wow, what a next step it is. Strengthened by that one meal, he travels for 40 days and 40 nights. Can you just imagine the sheer solitude of that journey? It's basically a forced timeout, a long, slow reset button on his frantic, high-stakes life. So this long journey leads him to a cave on Mount Horeb, which is known as the Mountain of God. And it's right here, in the dark and the total isolation, that the real climax of his story is about to unfold. Then, a voice just cuts through all that silence with a simple but incredibly profound question. It's not an accusation, it's more of an invitation. It forces Elijah to stop running, physically and mentally, and finally put into words what is going on inside of him. And his answer tells you everything. He starts by talking about how hard he worked. "I have been very zealous." Then he expresses this deep, profound loneliness. "I am the only one left." And finally, the persecution. He feels like everyone is out to get him. This is the story he's been telling himself this whole time in the wilderness. Then comes this incredible display of power, a wind so strong it literally shatters the rocks on the mountain. Now, you'd think this is exactly the kind of spectacle where you'd expect a divine message, right? Something big, loud, and obvious. But the voice isn't in the wind. Okay, so next up, an earthquake shakes the very ground he's standing on. Another raw, undeniable display of force. Surely this has to be it. But no, once again, the voice is not in the earthquake. And finally, a raging fire sweeps across the mountain, so the trifecta of chaos is complete. Elijah has seen the wind, felt the earthquake, and watched the fire, all things that scream for your attention, and yet the message he needs isn't in any of them. And then, after all the noise, after all the chaos and the spectacle, something else comes. A gentle whisper, a still, small voice. And in that quiet, Elijah finally hears what he's been searching for. So here's the big takeaway from that moment. The answer, the clarity, the new direction, it didn't come in the noise. It came when everything else went silent. It suggests that real guidance is often found by tuning out the chaos, not by looking for an even bigger, louder spectacle. Hearing that whisper, well, it changes everything. It's the start of Elijah's path out of despair, and it's marked by a totally new perspective and, most importantly, a brand new mission. But check this out. After the whisper, the voice asks him the exact same question again. "What are you doing here?" And Elijah gives the exact same answer, still stuck on that feeling of isolation.
This is so real, isn't it? One single breakthrough doesn't just instantly fix our entire mindset. His perspective is still locked in.
And then comes the course correction. A single number that completely shatters Elijah's whole story about being alone. 7,000. He wasn't the only one left. He wasn't even close. The reality was, he was never alone. He just felt that way.
So with his perspective corrected, he's given the antidote to his despair, a purpose. And it's not some vague encouragement. It's a concrete, forward-looking to-do list. Anoint 2 kings and, crucially, find and anoint the person who will succeed you. His new mission isn't even about him anymore. It's about the future.
This all builds to the final act of the story. And it's not just about Elijah checking things off a list. It's about him finding the person who is going to carry his life's work forward.
When Elijah finds his successor, a man named Elisha, the response is immediate and absolute. Elijah doesn't just say yes, he literally burns his old life to the ground. He kills the oxen he used for farming, chops up the plowing equipment for firewood, and throws a huge farewell feast for everyone. There is absolutely no going back. This act just shows how deeply important the mission Elijah is passing on truly is.
And that really just leaves us with this question. Elijah's story is such a powerful reminder that the way out of burnout and feeling totally alone isn't always through a bigger win or louder praise. Our greatest breakthroughs, the ones that give us our purpose back, often don't show up in the wind or the earthquake or the fire. They come in the quiet. So in our own lives, which are just filled with constant noise and distraction, the real question is, how do we make space to actually hear that gentle whisper?